Terry Brown, affectionately known as Miss Brown, is a gifted educator who has been teaching unique learners for over 25 years. She developed the So Happy to Learn program, which not only teaches reading, writing, and math, but also provides the tools to teach parents how to teach their own learners and make learning a fun and successful experience. I need to hear this speech ASAP. So get on out here, Terry Brown.
All right, can you guys hear me? I'm usually too loud, but I need to be loud so you guys can hear what I have to say because I have so much to say today, and the trick is going to be getting it all in 25 minutes, but I brought my own timer. I'm a rule follower, but I'm also a rule breaker, and you're going to learn that about me. Terry, you do great. I saw you on Instagram last night in the airport, and I'm like, I was feeling bad for you. You look wonderful and you did great, so. All right, raise your hands if you know about So Happy to Learn or you know about Miss Brown. Okay, I will give a brief overview of who I am and what I do. I'm so happy you all are here, and I'm so happy to share. And I have to tell you, this isn't in my script, but as I was writing all this down, I was feeling a little old. Because I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm probably the oldest speaker up here, which is okay. But you know what? My work keeps me so young. I have the best job. I'm going to be using air quotes a lot. I have the best job in the world. I work with students who learn differently, unique learners, all day long. From 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the day. At the end of the day, every day, and I've been doing this for 25 years. So it's my life, it's my passion, and I'm excited to be here with you guys because I have things to share. I want you to know that you are your child's greatest teacher. I've been saying that for a long time. Nobody wants to hear that. They don't want to hear that because they hope that school can do it. They hope that the therapist can do it. And if you're lucky with a good teacher, it will happen. But my mission and my job now is to teach you as a parent to do what I do. Many years ago, I started an online program, and it's really grown organically because a mom saw me on YouTube, some of my students that I was sharing, and she's like, you got to teach others to do what you do. And I'm like, okay. I had no idea if it would transfer. I actually didn't think I could transfer what I do to people online who have never met me, who I couldn't talk to. But I've always said that what goes on in Miss Brown's house is way too good to stay at Miss Brown's house. So that's why I go out of my comfort zone. And I'm comfortable speaking now, but the first couple times I spoke, I was one of those people that I would rather die than get up in front of an audience, literally. So it shows how far I've come, and it hopefully will give you guys hope that you could do things that you are uncomfortable with. But anyway, we have a very, very, very thriving online group with about 1,000 people all over the world. And you can imagine what a job that is for me, working with thousands of moms that I can't give individual attention to, but I can give group and attention to. And I can share all the things that I do. And I can tell you guys how to do it because I have, voice don't go out now. The good news is now we have probably about, 100 people in the group who've done what I said. Their children are learning, excelling. They're doing everything that I do as well as I do it with their child. And I want you guys to be able to do that too. So I didn't bring cards or flyers, but it's easy to remember my website, sohappytolearn.com. It's all on there. There's lots of good stories about all my different learners who do the program. Most of them are learners that have done online, and they'll tell their stories, so that would just give you some hope and some ideas. So it all started. I've got a couple of stories to tell. I've got a lot of stories to tell, so I'm gonna make each story kind of fast, but it all started when I wanted to get a job in the school district to be at my children's school, so I could like keep an eye on them and just be part of their day, and you know, as a stay-home mom. And I wanted to be an aide at their school, you know, lunch duty and all that stuff. The only opening was with a special day class, working with children with special needs. And by default, I got the job because, I say by default, but I know it was divine order, but default, I was the only one who signed up for it. So when I started, I knew nothing about people who learn differently. I knew nothing at all. So I had to figure it out. What I was passionate. Any job I had, anything I do, I always give 150% for. So I remember asking the teacher, okay, what do I read? What do I study? What do I do? And she's basically probably thinking like, well, just watch them out at the playground, you know? They didn't really know what they were getting. Thank you so much. They really didn't know what they were getting when they got Mrs. Brown. But I got the opportunity to work in a special day class. Let me open this up, just so we didn't have to bring you water. Okay. During that time, when I look back at it, I know this was my calling. I know I was divinely guided to do this work because I got a chance to work in a special day class. I got a chance to work in special day and full inclusion, and I got a chance to work in full inclusion. All of those things. And I was like, I read all the books, I studied. It was wonderful. Then when we moved into, we had 25 really high maintenance special need children in with 2 kindergarten classes. And we had 3 children with Down syndrome. And they were lovely, and they were cute, and they were sweet. And now, they're 31 years old now, again. It's making me feel old. But I was like, how do I teach them? And again, it wasn't my job to teach them. I was just an aide. But to me, it's like, I'm a natural born teacher, so of course I want to teach them. And my job was to stand over them, help them trace their words, or help them act like we knew what we were doing, but the work that was put in front of them was way too hard. It took me a while to figure out what's going on. Anyway, so I thought there must be a better way. And I went home and I prayed on it. Somebody gave me, one of the moms, Mara's mom, gave me the book, Teaching Reading to Children with Down Syndrome, and it changed my life. Because that was a template I needed to teach these 3 little adorable children with Down syndrome that were basically just naughty in class, running under tables, running around, just looking cute. But that wasn't good enough for me. I needed to teach them how to read. And I did. Within 6 months, they were reading, they were working independently, and it was blowing the socks off of everybody. So then I started private practice, and I started, because people were saying, teach my child, teach my child. I'm like, okay. So I started working at home. So that's basically how that started. But all it takes is for you as parents to say, there must be a better way. Show me that way. And then it's always shown. And all you have to do is be willing. Just a little willingness to go, okay, I'm gonna do that. And when you teach your child, you guys, I have worked, you guys are my people. You're the women that I spend all my time with. You're the women who are my friends. You're the women who, I know you. And I know when you say, I'm too busy, I'm not a teacher. I will tell you now, you're not too busy and you are a teacher. 15 minutes a day. So I started telling my moms, my first group of moms, I didn't teach them, but then I realized if I was teaching the moms alongside with their child, think about the much faster progress their child will be making than 45 minutes a week with me. So now, my work is, like if you want to get into Miss Brown's house, there's a long wait list, but boy, I'm going to interrogate you, and I'm going to tell you, Amy knows. I don't know where Amy went. I'm going to put Amy on the spot, under the camera today. Okay, Amy knows. But it's like, I'm not gonna just teach your child anymore. I'm a teacher of teachers now, a teacher of teachers. So, I've got a couple of moms back there. I'm gonna tell a little story. Liliana's mom, raise your hand. Finn's mom, raise your hand. Miles' mom, raise your hand. Those moms are all there. And before they came, I said, hey, I'm gonna tell you what to do. Don't get offended. Don't think I'm just being a big bossy lady over here. I want your child to know, to reach their capabilities like I know they're capable of. And they're doing it. So, I'm gonna tell Liliana's story because Liliana was my first student that I started with at 2.5. 2.5. Liliana's mom got on my wait list the minute she was born. And we stayed in touch. She lives in Irvine. And at 2.5, again, you get the calling. That little voice says, the big voice says, I think Liliana is ready for sessions. And I'm like, 2.5? I don't know. So I asked her and she was open. So she started with me at 2.5. And I was so, it was different because you know what, a 2.5-year-old cries. A 2.5-year-old wants their mommy, you know, and that's okay. And we got to, that was all new for me. And so all of my learners that I work with are the best science experiment or project out there because I get to see them from the beginning. So many of my learners started with me at age 4. And they're still with me at 26 and on. So I get to see the whole gamut. And I also want to say, I'm a gardener. Who knows about Miss Brown's garden? But I'm an accidental gardener, and I'm an accidental teacher. It's not by design. We don't put a lot of fertilizer. We don't fertilize it. We just water our garden and we give it love, just like with my students. And I want you to know that each child is a unique and beautiful flower that's going to bloom at their own rate. Sometimes as parents we're like, oh, well, I'm going to jump ahead. Comparison is a thief of joy. I'm not going to talk about it a long time, but I'm just going to tell you to stop it. Don't do it. Do not compare your child. Relish in the beauty of each child. And I have the pleasure of working with children that take forever. One of my best writers, it took him 10 years to write a word. And you know what he wrote on the back of the happy sheet? He wrote, "You fat, Miss Brown." It was, and I in my mind, I'm like, he's never gonna write, but I'll just you just gotta keep doing it. You keep exposing them and know it's gonna come. And I was like, wow, Jared, thanks. But I was mostly happy that he wrote. It was really good. So, yeah, like I said, I got a lot to say in 25 minutes, so I'm just going to try to do the best. But anyway, your flowers, everybody's flowers different. Comparison is a thief of joy. And I will tell my moms now, before I used to listen to them compare and I'd be like, I would be sinking inside. And now I just say, stop. And look at all the good things your learner's doing, because you're doing so many good things that you're missing because you're thinking like, oh, when's she gonna write like her? When's she gonna write like that? I'm like, did you just see she wrote mom? And let's don't look at that, her M looks like a W. And I'm kind of like jumping into my top 5 teaching tips, and I've already, do not compare your learner. Your learner is unique, and set yourself and your learner up for success. Respect your learner and meet your learner where they're at. And mistakes are not mistakes. we can hear this, we need to hear this a lot of times, because we have a tendency, the way we were taught in school, the way teachers taught is like, oh, you just wrote mom for the first time, but your M looks like a W, so let's go back and write that 5 times, okay? Let's trace an M instead of like, holy shit! You just wrote the word mom! And even if the mom is like a ... Liliana's story. So, getting to see the whole process with Liliana wrote the word mom. Now she can write mom. But her first time writing mom was, I had mom written in a box and she wrote ... First time she'd done that, in her mind she's writing mom. ... It usually goes from ... to O to WO. Like I say, guys, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen it lots of times. It never gets old. Anyway, her mom and her brother are out in the garden. And guys, it never ever gets old. So I'm like, let's go show your mom that you wrote mom. We run out there, show mom. And her brother, who's a very smart young man, is like, well, that doesn't say mom. Like, and then I took Liliana inside and I told him, we have to encourage our learners. That was the best she could do. And in her mind, she wrote mom. So encourage her. But I'm not ragging on him, and I'm not ragging on any of you guys who do that, because it's just natural. It's just natural to do that. Okay, I am jumping around a little bit. Oh, okay, I want to teach you guys a brain balance. I meant to do this in the beginning, so part of what I do, okay. Part of what I do is, before I get started with a learner, I help them to balance their brain and get focused. And I want to do that with you guys. So, put everything down for your hand. Okay. This is the easiest one. I took kinesiology and like 4 years of brain gym study with a master teacher, and I have turned it all into one simple exercise. This is good for you guys to do because it balances the brain and calms you at the same time. And you don't even have to have a ball to do it. You can have an imaginary ball. Okay. And this is a good time for me to do it because I'm getting a little nervous because I'm talking a lot. It's just going to balance me out right away. Okay, so you got your ball. Give it a color. Give it a size. Now with my learners, we're just going to toss it back and forth. Toss your ball. And what this does is it gets the left and the right brain working together. I already feel my nervous system's already calming down. And it calms you and it gets your brain working together. Now with my learners, I'll say, okay, are we going to do numbers or letters? Let's count. Everybody, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say a couple letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I'll say to my learners, we'll say, I am focused. Keep it nice and simple. But when you're going to work with your learner, you don't want to go like, come on, we got to get this done. Sit down. Come on, we got to get this done. And you want to work into it. You want to get calm. You want to have some water. We got to have some focus spray and all that. All right. So I'm glad we got that in. Now, last night, I was in bed, a little bit nervous and excited, and I've been working on my talk for a while. And I want you guys to know, So Happy to Learn has evolved much over the years, as it should in 25 years. And I grow and learn as a teacher. And I have a lot of success. And parents articulate what I do much better than I articulate it. But I was laying in bed, the lights are out, and it came in my mind, this quote. I'm going to read it because I haven't memorized it yet. I'm not good at memorizing. One of the reasons I know I have such great success with my students and learners is I do not see a person's diagnosis. I see a divine human being whose potential I will help them reach. So I don't see a diagnosis. I just see a person, and this really helped. This really came to light when I started teaching. People would bring me their siblings, like I teach Gemma. I started teaching Gemma, Rocco's sister, when she was 3. And that's a different kind of flower in the garden than Rocco. But it's all the same. I teach her the exact same thing that I teach Rocco and my other learners. In my philosophy is, I'm going to teach your child, and I'm going to teach you how to teach your child to read and enjoy reading. Write expressively and enjoy writing expressively. Understand math, become an artist, draw, and most importantly, love learning. All those things. That's my goal. And sometimes parents will come to me with their IEPs. Do you want to see the IEP? No, I don't. Oh, I got 10 minutes. Okay, I don't want to see the IEP because those are my goals right there, and those should be the goals for your child. And you know what? Here's the good news. You got their whole life to do it. It doesn't have to be done in 6 months, 2 out of 3 trials, right? I'm not putting down school. I promised I wouldn't. And you know what? Whatever you decide to do with your child, if you want to be in a special day class, if you want to homeschool, you want full inclusion, that is your decision, and don't let anybody make you feel bad about that decision. And you can still do So Happy to Learn on top of it. Because think of So Happy to Learn as fun school. You're playing school with your child. And you get to play school with them 15 minutes a day. And you guys are lucky because I've laid it all out. It's all there. The materials, we just started in January. I do a really nice monthly Miss Brown's learning class where I'm like a Mr. Rogers, and it's a bee production video, but it's great. The kids like it. And it makes the learners feel like, I didn't know this would happen, but they're connected with me. They love me. They've never met me, but they're connected with me because I have that way with the children. So anyway, so everything is really good there. Now let me tell you, since we're running out of time, because I have a couple of stories I wanted to say. Writing. This week, every day there's like so many great stories that happen in my day, it's hard to remember them all. But this little boy, a brother of one of my students with a diagnosis of autism, he just wasn't learning how to read, he wasn't learning, sweetest little boy ever. When I teach writing, I teach what's called scribble writing, so they can get out their thoughts. So I'll write them a scribble letter. Dear Daniel, you are such a cute boy. I'm so glad you're here today. I love you, Mrs. Brown. And we'll do that, and then it turns into writing eventually. But on the back of a happy sheet, he'd never drawn, he'd never written, he'd never expressed this before. He drew a picture of me, he scribble wrote, and I said, what did you say? And he goes, Dear Miss Brown, I love you. So I texted his mom, didn't hear back from her. And then the following week, he did it again. She texted me back in tears. You know the tear emoji? She said, the tear emoji in the heart. She said, when you told me last week you did that, I did not believe you. I did not believe you. And I asked him this week, I said, what does this say? What did you write? And he said, I wrote, I love you, Miss Brown. She was not even sad that the first expression of love came for his teacher instead of her. She was just, and this is a So Happy to Learn way, you guys. She was just so overwhelmed that her son knew what love was and that he could express it. I got chills. Okay, the other story, and I have students who write in journals, and they write all their feelings, they write all their emotions, again, so many flowers. But I want to tell you about Kelly real fast. And I brought this with me just for me to look at and motivate me and make me feel good. But Kellen, you can't see this, but he wrote love. It took us a year. Kellen could not talk. He could not focus enough to even hold the pencil in his hand or the marker in his hand. And I'm determined that I'm going to get him to write. And then he brought me a painting one day, and intuitively I knew that he had written the word love. There was a V and an O, and I'm like, Kellen, did you just paint love for me? And we've been doing a painting every week for about a year. Always the same mauve color. Anyway, just last week, he wrote the word love when he could not even write a line. So why I'm sharing this with you is, this is just as beautiful as my student Liz's tribute to her grandfather that she wrote more beautifully than I could. You know what I'm saying? This is magnificent. So, I know that red flag is going to go up in a minute. I have 1 minute. So, okay, so this is, I think I said enough that you guys get the picture. Guess who's speaking next? Caitlin Reed. She is So Happy to Learn alumni. Her mom came to me when she was 2.5, and back then I was like, that is way too young. Here's what you can do. See, I was doing this way back then. I was like, here's what you can do. Here's some So Happy to Learn material. Start with the books. She started with me, and you guys, she is a beautiful, beautiful, magnificent person. I love her so much. I'm so happy when I get to be around her. She is a light. I'll always remember her knocking at the door and seeing her little face, and I'm so proud of her. And she is gonna rock it up here. Can I introduce her? Yeah. You got a bio. Okay, that's what, yeah. I'm just gonna take charge here. But I did want to say Caitlin is magnificent, and I'm so happy she's going to be here. If you go to my website, you will see a video that Caitlin and I and her mother did, where her mother, real talk. It was real talk. Anyway, we're good? Or you what? Okay. All right, guys, this is fun.
So many good little nuggets in there. I think one thing that I always have to take it back to for me is the comparison game. So it's a nice, every flower is different. We've all got this beautiful garden. We're growing these amazing humans, and just not comparing, that can get hard. Right. And also, what I really loved was that we're our kids' best teachers, right? So, I have to tell myself that every day, even when I'm talking to our teachers and walking into these IEP meetings and things, is that I'm the one that knows my kid the best. So, just really taking ownership of that. So, thank you for reminding us of all those wonderful nuggets. And then I think
I'm going to introduce Caitlin.